Bridget's 5P is a really solid poke that barely doesn't reach around start distance. It has great range for a 5P, but has the trade-offs of being slower than average and leaving behind a hurtbox for a few frames. 2P is also a great poke, especially since it can't be 6P'd like many of our other options, but has noticeably less range than our 5P. It also leaves a lingering hurtbox. But it's great as a poke since it combos into 6K for a special move follow-up, giving knockdowns and great corner carry from a punch starter. 5P is great for round starts since it's faster than most other options and can punish them almost all the way to the corner on hit, but that only works if they choose an advancing option. A majority of the time 6K will whiff. So instead, it's generally best to opt for 5P into 236S to get the yo-yo on screen to get your neutral game plan going. 2K is your fastest button at 5 frames and is essential for going into her strong Oki setups, but it has much less range than her punch normals. This makes it ideal as your defensive option, but can be used if you find the space to dash up into it. With dash momentum, you can combo 2K, 5K, 2P, and 5P all into 6K, though at max range, 5P into 6K may not reach. But between her punches and kicks, she has options that are 5, 6, 7, and 8 frames to start up. Each has its own use depending on the range, but also keep in mind 5K and 5P are 6P'able like her other main tools, so be careful. Farslash is a great mid-range poke, especially when you cancel it from a dash. It's disjointed and keeps that disjoint as it reaches its max range. Similar to her punches, it does leave a disjointed hurtbox behind and it can be 6P'd. Farslash has a built-in option select where if you press S twice when you throw it out, if it connects, it'll do the follow-up, which will practically always connect and knock down, and if you don't, then the follow-up will not happen. Farslash 5H doesn't knock down, and the 5H follow-up can whiff at max range, so use your best judgment based on the range. Also, since it's quick having the first hitbox come out at frame 10, Farslash is a great whiff punish tool. 2S is an essential part of her kit. It's a disjointed double-hitting mid-range low. This is her major deterrent to people who are happy to just 6P hoping to hit 5P, Farslash, or 5H. This makes it also a great round start tool even though it's 11 frames, since one of the main ways to beat 5P round start is with 6P. 5H is also an amazing poke, being her farthest reaching button and having a disjoint on it, so at max range it can clash with 6Ps. Canceling this into Wild Assault is a great way to get your offense started. Pressing H a second time will give a follow-up that knocks down, making Bridget a threat even from far ranges. Just a quick recap is that her 5P, Farslash, and 5H are all amazing pokes, but lose to 6P and have lingering hurtboxes, making them easier to punish on whiff, so trying to space them at max range to at best clash with 6P or delay a bit to whiff punish a callout is good. But if they've shown they're willing to let it rip, dash up 2S, 236S, or even 2P are all good options to stop them. The main goal is to remain unpredictable. Her 6P is really solid. It has multiple hitboxes as the active frames go on, but it reaches really far forward and can even hit above her head. 2H is her other anti-air option, but since it's 11 frames, it's much harder to use than 6P. But if you do hit it, you get really good reward. It is huge and has disjoints, but only above, not in front. Also, since it's an H normal, pressing it a second time gives the follow-up. Sweep is not really worth using in neutral, since 2S outclasses it in basically every way, but it does give better Oki if you can hit it. It has solid range, but no disjoint, and be careful about using it as a max range confirm. Her JP is her main air-to-air button since it can jail them to the ground. JK has a hitbox that works well for cross-ups. For sandset options, IED JK into JD gives a nice combo on hit and is a multi-overhead on block. IED JS is the better go-to IED button since it's bigger and is double hitting. If you hit it too high up, it'll be barely plus, but if you hit it lower by doing something like IED FD, then it can be double digits plus. JS into JH is also good, but you'll need to be higher up, so more like super jump IED or jump into delayed air dash. JH is a great air normal, especially since it's disjointed. This lets you play a bit of keep away with it by doing IED back, though the timing to make it hit low will take some practice. Doing IED back JH into 5H is a good way to control the low airspace and ground space back to back. Also, if they're catching your IED buttons with 6P, J236K is the go-to anti-air. It doesn't lead to much without meter, but with RC it can be pretty rewarding. On top of having strong normals, her neutral also revolves around her yo-yo. It can be sent out as an active projectile through 236S or 236H. As long as it's on screen, you can't throw another, but it'll go away after you get hit, block, or after 4 seconds have passed. She also has air versions, which can be useful for calling out your opponent or threatening a hitbox from full screen even when jumping away. By itself, it's a decent projectile, can clash with others and keep going, though it'll lose its hitbox. On hit, depending on how far it had to travel, can be either minus point blank or easily double digits plus near full screen, though it doesn't actually reach truly full screen. But a quick dash into throw will do just fine. The main appeal of getting the yo-yo out is giving access to roll through 214K. She does a homing dash towards the yo-yo, and if she makes contact with the opponent, it will lead to a combo or a block string. The main way to mix up using this to approach is by rolling without threatening anything else, or by dashing up into a button then cancelling into roll. Since 6p is the main way to beat the roll, if you see them use it, try making them block a button, then stagger to catch them trying to preemptively 6p. Also, the follow-up S after // or 2S has a built-in 1 frame gap, which is useful against people mashing. During the roll, you still have access to all your air options, so make good use of your double jumps in any direction, whiff air normals to fall faster, use J236K as your anti-anti-air, and threaten them with roll into spaced out JH. It's also good to just do roll into quick JH to threaten low to ground air disjoints, especially since it has low recovery compared to // or 5H. But keep in mind hitting max range makes it difficult to confirm, so choose how much you're willing to risk to make it more confirmable. Whiffing JP and doing 2S can catch 6p attempts if they're late to react. Also keep in mind that J236H version will put the yo-yo a little lower than 236S, meaning you can't connect roll unless they're in front of the yo-yo. Even if you try to cancel into air normals, you won't reach unless you start from a higher angle. This changes if you're right next to them doing it in pressure. 214S is the opposite of 236S in that it is thrown out without a hitbox, but when it comes back, it has one. It comes back in 2 seconds instead of 4. This is the more ideal one to get out if you can do it safely, but it is still a bit difficult to go 2 seconds trying to approach without at least blocking something. But since she has large normals like 2S, // and 5H, it's still doable. It's also good to dash up to bait a button, then backdash into dash up button, or even just roll. Since you can hold K to delay the launch of roll, this can be a visual trick to make them whiff early, or just to help time the yo-yo return to cover the approach. If you're able to get 214S into dash up 2SH into roll, it basically auto-times a safe roll for you. But there are a ton of ways to set up safe approaches, so take your time in the lab to figure out some sequences you like. 236K, or Scooter, is an important mobility and confirm tool for her neutral. If you hold forward, she goes faster and farther. If you hold back, she slows down and barely moves forward. You can mix and match during the move to speed up and slow down as you like. On block, it can be extremely unsafe, but it can actually be plus if you connect on the later frames, which is tough, so make sure to practice it. I find it best to start out holding back, then near the end, hold forward. She also has a P follow-up that can be between -6 and -1 depending on spacing, but it's your last resort if you know you won't get the plus or safe 236K. If you're close, it will still be punishable, but likely just a 2K 2D rather than a close slash, so be careful. Since it's used more in block strings, it tends to be safe even at -6 due to the spacing. She has a K follow-up too, which launches her into the air and is used to end combos or with RC to set up high-low mix-ups. If you see them whiff and won't be able to punish, you can try to steer your way into plus frames with this, but take your time to practice this before bringing it into a match. Bridget's game plan revolves around her strong normals used for whiff punishing and high mobility tied to RPS. Make sure to use good use of her backdash to get into the ranges that favor you, either through spacing for a // or 5H, or just to make room to safely get out yo-yo. Since she has much lower life than normal, each mistake costs more, and keeping in mind that her big normals have higher recovery with lingering hurt boxes, it's important to be careful with each option you choose. For matchups where the opponent isn't very mobile, trying to keep them away with // and 5H is strong, but against quick characters that can whiff punish easily, it's better to rely on your quick pokes like 5p, 2p, 5k, and staying focused on anti-airing. Thank you for watching.